Anyway, however you want to do this, of course, with a wish for all beings to be free, free of the constriction and contraction of held belief systems and thought patterns, free of the automatic reactivity of held emotional patterns, and free of the isolation and suffering of distorted perception. I will always go for refuge to alive, vibrant, radiant, spacious awareness until awareness is ongoing, like the flow of a river. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the presence of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, of any lineage or none, and or any time or beyond time, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all beings. As long as space remains, as long as beings remain, may I manifest in such a way to ease and dispel the miseries in the universe. Okay, well, as many of you know, things tend to pop into my mind before this meeting. And it occurred to me that the hardest time to really open to Chenrezig for many of us is when there is a lot of obvious pain and suffering in the world. There's always pain and suffering in the world. Sometimes it feels like there's more meanness, more, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, a lack of compassion. It feels more in our face. And it may be the hardest time to open our hearts. It's so easy to get drawn into the, well, they are, that whole conversation. If they'd stop that, I could be more kind. If even if these are very subtly held, they can be very subtly held. So what I thought, I don't know where you all are, or what time of day, or what your circumstances are. But I thought today I could get it started. We could get it, really is more like it started. And then perhaps we could extend ourselves, which would mean I'd probably stay here running the mantra because I have all kinds of alive things around me. But how many of you might, when you don't have to answer, might be willing, and we can turn the video off, to step outside? I don't know if it's dark where you are. I don't know exactly where you have, if you have any life outside that is, if you feel safe walking around, maybe with an earbud, so that if you're singing the mantra, you can look as though you're talking on your phone. Not insisting that we do this, but very much it occurred to me that at least my feeling is we need to engage this in the world. Not to push it, not to force it, but simply to be it, which we are, underneath all the, Lama Lena calls it the Bill Blah. that we've piled on our true nature because we don't like being hurt? Anybody here really just like all the pains that they are carrying from childhood or being hurt in other ways? Uh, Most of us have kind of closed our heart down a little bit, trying not to experience that. Doesn't work. Uh, Seems like it might work, right? And not really successful. I want to add today that I it's something Pema Children says a lot, and I don't know that I hear it many places, but there's many places I don't hear. So that even whatever practice we're doing, if we're engaged in it, things will change for us. Things will shift. And sometimes that shifting is not comfortable. It could be, I always like to say, that's Fig's reminder. It could be comfortable, it could be easy, but in my experience, it seldom is. We're taking, for most of us, a fairly rigid, protected shell that we've made, not intentionally. And we're gently, hopefully, if we bang on it, in my experience, it just gets stronger. And we're gently trying to let that release in its own way, in its own time. And that can be extremely uncomfortable. Belief systems, thought patterns, emotional patterns, reactive emotional patterns. This happens, boom, I'm there, reacting to it. And distorted perception that probably every one of us was raised in. I mean, it's human pattern that there's I and everything else out there. And I am an individual, independent. Well, we strive for independence, do we not? I mean, I'm a parent. My goal was for my kids to be independent in a certain way, able to be responsible for themselves, take care of themselves. Those aren't in conflict necessarily. But what if that is just a big distorted perception and there is no I separate from the interactions with all beings? And this illusion causes us to have a veil, or Lama Lena describes it as always having felt there's like this covering over the world that she's always been trying to, like a membrane, she's always been trying to poke through. You may experience it in a different way. A lot of us in here, I believe, are here because we felt there might be something we're missing, and we've been looking for it. Um, and that is the original oops or misunderstanding that Kuntuzongmo, not separate, never had. I like the example of a wave, and we would laugh at this. A wave that is out in the middle of the ocean, and it's trying with all its might because it believes it's an individual wave, and everything else is out there around it. Okay, you got to deal with it, but it's not you. And that wave is trying to hold on to its form, trying to be safe, trying to hold itself steady. We would laugh at the idea of a wave trying to do that. And yet, isn't it what we try to do all the time by habit? And I love the Thich Nhat Hanh quote. when I'm going to mess it up. I always do, but the essence should be there. When a wave realizes it is water, that's enlightenment for a wave. You can't say that a wave doesn't manifest. That'd be silly. We manifest. Look at us all. We don't look the same exactly. We don't think the same exactly. We're like a ongoing wave. Wouldn't it be more fun to respond in connection with everything else than to try to hold this identity? I am this. But that's easy to say, and for most of us, quite uncomfortable to start to allow to have happen. Yes, we obviously manifest. We're also the universe. We're also beyond time and space, awareness. We're also ultimate interconnected. I would use the word love, but that's can be limiting. Openness, how about that? So, without trying to deny that we're their presence here, not this or that, right? Anyway, so maybe a wave in the storm at the current moment with what's going on in our world we might experience in a manifestation as a major storm, and we're being battered about. And then we'll try to fight back because we're human against that battering. Well, what can we do? What can I do to survive this, to feel better? Some of us will realize that this cracks me up in a way. The Dalai Lama always says, if you want to be happy, help others. He doesn't actually say to be happy. If you do that to be happy, okay, I'm going to help you, but I don't really want to, but I want to be happy, so fine. That's probably not the greatest attitude to try this with. And the New York Times ran this study, this scientific study that showed over and over again that the people that seemed to be enjoying life were all engaged in some kind of uh, interaction in which they felt useful to other beings. They felt like they were helping. How funny. Took a whole 20-year, I think, scientific study. Dalai Lama's been telling us that forever. But not obligated happy, where many of us and not just female gender, many of us think that's what we should do, so we get exhausted. That's not what anything's being pointed at. So my idea was, how about we start this? Then if you're in a place and you're comfortable doing it, maybe we'll take 30 minutes or 15, depends where you are and what you want to do, and step out into the world in some way, at least by the window or in some way that makes us not feel, okay, I'm on my pillow, I'm in my safe spot, everything. Let's and take the feeling that we will generate here before we do this and sing manis out into the world or send light out into the world in the rays that we do in this practice. Not directing them at somebody or something. Let's say not directing it at an individual. That's one of Lama Lena's, and also me. uh, can feel a little intrusive to people. But if I see someone who seems to be having a really hard time, that's my interpretation. I'm not having I'm not having their experience. Maybe I will send light rays to all beings who might be suffering in a certain condition. And that interconnectedness of seeing, even though I'm laying on my own interpretation, seeing somebody and recognizing that it's possible they may be suffering brings a certain kind of interconnectedness. You've all heard the stories of and seen it all over our world of groups, people. Lama Lena uses the example of the Boy Scout who sees an old woman standing on a street corner and assumes he's quite sure, or I guess Boy Scouts are boys. Um, I don't know how that goes right now. And assumes that the old woman is afraid to cross the street, so goes up to her and grabs her arm and starts pulling her across the street. The old woman either probably baps at him with her purse or goes, "Oh, here we go again," and just goes across with him. But actually, she had no desire to go across the street, and she thanks the Boy Scout and lets him get on his way, thinking, "Oh, I did such a good deed," then turns around and walks back across the street where she didn't want to leave in the first place. So there's so many examples of our misinterpretation of what might be helpful to somebody because we think it might be helpful to us in that situation. So we have to be a little careful, but sending some rays of hope, light, singing some manis, away from the absolute safety of sitting on our cushion or our chair. Y'all willing to try it? And if we don't try it today, try it in life yourself. And maybe it would be nice to hear from people what that was like when you take it out into quote unquote the real world. No more real than our world right here. The world of interaction has that. So, how about we start today? First thing we can notice is when I've brought this up, what's your reaction to what I said? Is it, "Oh God, I don't want to do that. I just want to be in my room here and have a moment of peace"? Then do that. But do notice what the experience is, the reaction is. I don't want to. This is my sanctuary, my safety place once a week or whatever. I don't want to take it out there. What if it gets messed up and it doesn't feel good anymore? I don't know. There could be 100. Some of us might feel kind of excited. Yes. Yes, not to point it at anything and try to make them be different. Just to, there's a there's always a story, right? When is there not a story? We find it very quickly. It's right here. Oh, it's disappeared. Well, things do that. I've had it in there forever, and now it's not. It's actually a Mary Oliver poem, but it's about the Buddha when he was passing from his body. And his last words were, "Make of yourself a light." Pretty simple. Simple, not always easy. They're different, aren't they? So, How are we going to do that? It's going to be different for everybody. First, we try to remember a time. Or it occurs to me, in this moment, instead of going into the past, that feeling that we might have sometimes of inspiration or enthusiasm that almost pulls us into more openness, more, uh, that's the best words I have for it. Like, yes, let's do that. I'm in. I can feel it. Kind of like that may occur. Otherwise, a memory, whatever helps us to open to the experience we've all had at some time. I can give you a million examples. Often a pet who is more like family to me than I don't like the word pet. A dog or a cat that we just, boom, for a moment, everything falls away and we're just with that animal with total openness. Might feel like a warm wave, but the minute we step back to look at it, oh, I'm feeling this. It feels like a warm wave. We are out of the experience and we've put up the describer, the observer, between us and the experience. Could be, oddly, it could be performing in some way, music or dance or somewhere where there's almost a vibrant interaction. Maybe it's being at a performance when that level of connectedness, it seems magic to me because I don't understand it exactly, can't understand it intellectually, but something just connects with everybody within that moment. Could be when you hike on your own in nature. Maybe you climb a kind of a tough uphill trail. It gets to be towards sunset and you get to sit down on the edge of the mountain with beauty all around you. And that indescribable moment arises, experience. So many ways. Music, a movie, poetry, different for all of us. And more present around us than most of us realize. It is sometimes hard for us to allow our attention, our awareness to shift in that non-direction. Even right now, just looking around some of your backgrounds. They're so beautiful, but I love trees. So trees are a deal for me. Often there's some animals that wander in and I just smile. Uh, and of course you all right here, right now, being together. Whatever it is that helps us to relax our heart for a moment. Visualized, if you will, as a lotus made of light with 1,000 petals. Or perhaps not visualized, sensed, having a sensation of it, having a touch of it, almost, even though we can't see anything touching us or that we're touching. Could be the sound. Doesn't matter. It's everywhere all the time. And we have, with our describer, our habitual, it's very human, instinct to protect ourselves. We keep ourselves at a distance from noticing it. So we get to practice it in here or when you're on your own in a very safe environment where there isn't such a need to, we don't perceive such a need to protect ourselves. It matters not one whit whether you have experienced, because when it arises, to me, it's not attached. There isn't an I and a you. There's just that openness, which is not a good word, but what are you going to do for trying to describe something that's indescribable? And then we put the label on, I love that, or he loves me. So if you have a time that you can almost viscerally feel when you felt absolute love or openness from another being, could be in a Yidam practice, could be in this very Chenrezig practice, could be in being around your teacher, which tends to help cut through that bilblah, not harshly, just their lack of bilblah tends to allow us to relax. Could have been when you were young and there was a grandmother or a dog that loved you. It doesn't matter what it was. Whatever experience helps you to relax for a moment, either going forward, going backwards, or in this present moment. Whether it's perceived in this moment as inside or outside, doesn't matter. And we allow that experience or this moment to nourish, to feed the symbol of the lotus, or simply our heart. If the last words of the Buddha were make of yourself a light. Let's see, is there a Chenrezig? It's hard to make an accurate tanka or picture of rainbow body. Well, what's rainbow body but light? That's why when it's called somebody goes rainbow, not an everyday happening, uh, there's nothing left of the body. So perhaps we could start to experience on occasion, at least, with that openness, that we are light. We can picture the lotus, a lotus in our heart chakra, as our heart chakra. And that's a wonderful way to do this. Or we can feel in our heart the light and letting that expand into 1,000 rays. And we may do this differently. Some days we may invite all the Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and saints, and all of the beings who are more open-hearted, that seem more open. We may ask them to fill our heart by offering what light we have to them and asking them to please share their light with us. I think you're getting the feeling it matters not a bit what method, what moment we invite in to help us relax. In this particular practice, we use the image of a lotus, but you don't have to. We use the sound of the mantra, which is, what is the sound of the mantra but the sound of open-hearted, open-minded, unboundaried, uncontracted openness. Non-dualistic love, if you will, or if I will. However we nurture that experience that almost all of us have had at least some time, we can let that fill us. It may start as a location in our heart. It may start as a lotus. Each of us may rest in this even as what we think of as an individual in different ways at different times. I can't stand anybody right now. I'm going to call on all the saints and Buddhas and bodhisattvas who could see through that self-protectiveness and ask them to please shine their light into my heart as I offer the best of my ability, whatever light I have, to them. We have to be where we are in that moment. So with that, as the lotus or our heart or however we are experiencing this opens, we may sense, feel, see the light rays. In this practice, in the center of that lotus are 6 different colored petals made of light, each holding a seed syllable of the mantra which is the sound of exactly what is being pointed at, that openness beyond self-protectiveness. And the mantra is, if you haven't had this, or even if you have and you want to, repeat after me, traditionally 3 times. Om, Ma, Ni, Pe, Me, Hung. Om, Mani, Pe Me, Hung. Om, Mani, Pe Me, Hung. And many of us, as we say that, if we allow it to arise from low in our belly, the sound to rise through our body, across our vocal cords, speech chakra, heart chakra, navel chakra, on its way up and out through the crown chakra and our mouth. You can feel the vibration of that. Some of us may have a sense of, from that experience of sound and vibration, we may experience everything in our world for a moment as that sound and vibration. Everything vibrating, everything in motion, movement. And in this, as the 6 inner petals As we say the mantra, the 6 inner petals start to rotate until they blend together. The light of them blends together. It represents all light. So as organically happens, if all light comes together, it becomes white. Not a spotlight, bright kind of piercing light, but a warm light, almost sparkly, not static. Light is never static. It's always movement of a warm nature, full of openness, warmth, waves, carrying the sound of vibration and openness. And those 6 petals elongate into rays of that light, filling all of the 1,000 petals of the lotus. Until those petals extend into rays of warm, vibrant light, carrying the sound of the mantra through the waves of movement out into the universe. Naturally, we don't have to force them. Touching 1,000 beings and allowing 1,000 beings of any kind, any species, any size, any place in time, beyond time, from smaller than a cell to bigger than anything we can perceive. 1,000 rays touching beings, allowing that relaxation, that openness, that connectedness. And the same thing occurs in their heart, their lotus, till there are 1,000 rays of light radiating out into and touching 1,000 beings. Some of those pure rays of open-hearted, open-minded, unconditional, unlimited love, touching our heart again, our lotus, filling it again and again. 1,000 rays of light, touching 1,000 beings throughout time and space. We can rest right here. We can name this Nirmanakaya, but the name is not anywhere close to a description of the experience. A refuge. We're not inviting light rays from those who are trapped in the tight container of protectedness. No light rays will be able to shine forth from those. We're inviting the essence of all beings when it's freed, all touching, connecting, interconnected with each other. Refuge. Whether you feel it as vibration sound, uh, like a web of light, wherever it intersects a little node that thinks it's an individual. Doesn't matter, everybody will have their own experience. We could rest right there. No need to hold it. No need to describe. Simply refuge as it is. If you choose, maybe when we close and you have the circumstances to go outside, if you're in a place of beauty, probably easier. If you're not, with no effort to put forth those rays of light, simply allowing them as they are for you without any doing, simply with the intention that the light may touch beings. And for a moment, they can relax from that. Actually, don't put any expectation on it at all. Just with the wish that whatever may radiate may be of benefit to some being somewhere. No forcing light rays at beings. If you are comfortable, you can sing the manis. Om Mani Padme Hum. Maybe quietly if you're around a lot of people. But maybe one day one of us will just sing it as loud as we can as we're walking around. Who knows what might happen if we stop trying to squish things. As that web of light, sound, vibration continues to touch 1,000 beings, 1,000 rays of light, until there are infinite rays of light touching infinite beings, and there is no thing but light. No possible description because you are light. You are that light. Refuge is Sambhogakaya if you want. But it is the experience, not the name, that is the refuge. If you're lucky enough to fall in completely, You won't notice. There is just light. You will not stay there for a long time, so anybody that might be afraid they won't come back, you will. The doorbell will ring, you'll have to pee, you'll get hungry. We're in bodies. And you may notice, because we are describers through and through, very human, that there was no sense of time. You might look at your watch and go, oh my God, I've been sitting here for half an hour. But in the moment of your experience, there was no sense of time. So aware there was awareness is awareness in this spaciousness, light. Definitely awareness. No self-focus in that awareness. You may experience, well, there's 1,000 different experiences to describe when you come back, but there's no way to describe it when you take your usual form back. Refuge. Always present. Where termas hang out. If you ever wanted to be a terma, I think you can't grab them. Where omniscience arises. Not because an individual is omniscient, because the awareness is not limited to the individual. The refuge of shared interconnected aliveness. A descriptive phrase that doesn't even begin to share the experience. Always present? Yes, where would it go? Are we always present, aware? No. Most of us, not so much. No different than and never separate from the timeless, non-dual, beyond time and space aspect called Dharmakaya. The dance of the three kayas right there. Always present and interdependent, for without space, there'd be no place for anything to manifest. With no spark of life, that mystery, potential for life, there'd be no energy to manifest. Without manifestation, dancing, would there be spaciousness and the spark of life? The dance of aliveness and spaciousness, emptiness, just means without individual independent existence. No thing we can find and hang on to. This thing has an independent existence. No. That's one heck of a refuge. Within this full refuge, what is there to protect? Not denying in any way that we still feel hurt, we still feel lonely, we still feel isolated, we still feel so many sensations. We're alive. We're full of patterns. Our very aliveness, yes, in a way. All of that. Every being. So if you wish today or any day to, with maybe some care, step outside. Sing monies to the trees. Send light rays, allow the light rays to shine. You don't have to send them. Just let them radiate out. Not doing anything, not describing anything. But when you're done and you come back, you might notice if you perceived the universe, the world around you a little differently in those moments. And also notice, even if somebody yelled at you, hey, watch where you're going. What's the matter with you? That's just them being them. Didn't have a thing to do with you. Through experience, not through words. We're all so scared. We're watching a terrified world. Not always pretty, is it? Our hearts may open that even if we experience the freedom of this openness for an instant, our heart may open that so many beings have no opportunity, no experience of this. Or even if we have it for a moment, we attach it, and then we want to control it. And we want to tell people how to treat us and what we need and all of that. Because we're scared. Very human, not to be pushed away. Simply to have other places to rest. A refuge to relax. The refuge of who you really are. Along with this form that gets all confused. leave you right here. So much for the quiet. Let's go out and do our thing. But perhaps if you feel for it, go ahead out and let your light shine. I see it in each of you. How could it not be there? Even when we're so angry, says, you don't see it in me because I don't have it right now. We're so funny. It's funny at sometimes, other times it's just painful. Anyway, I'm so grateful that you all came today so we could do this together. Whatever benefit of any kind may have arisen, moment of relaxation, moment of connectedness, moment of cutting through that bilblah that holds us so tightly, that may have arisen. May we not grab it, describe it, analyze it, try to do anything with it whatsoever. That is the light, other than to let it radiate out into the universe, touching all beings. May all beings have such opportunity to find something to experience what doesn't go into words very well. And may we all beings be free. Cool.